A brief but icy system is on the way for the northeast as we head towards the middle to latter half of this week, with the potential for some freezing rain accretion there, with a problematic front attached all the way on down towards the Gulf Coast. Plus, we have a November heat wave coming. Yeah, that's a lot to talk about. Let's go ahead and get right into it.
One Nation Weather.
All right, let's start out with some infrared imagery from tropicaltidbits.com for us here as we finish off your Monday. Hopefully it's a good start to the week for you here, or whenever you're watching this. Hope you're having a good day. We can see we've got a couple of systems moving across the northern tier of the United States as well as southern Canada, and most of the moisture has been in Canada with these systems, with the exception of the Pacific Northwest as they push on shore. You can see we've got our second system, really our third or fourth, that we've seen hit the Pacific Northwest over the course of the last week. That's been producing some flooding concerns there. Most precipitation with this first system, though, as I'm drawing it out right here, is kind of skimming northward of the northeast, though some light precipitation is hitting northern Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan, as well as northern Michigan, the main part of the state, the glove. Now, in terms of your Tuesday early morning, we're going to have a little bit of snowfall in northern Maine, but other than that, just some light rainfall pushing through portions of New England. That system trying to turn into a surface low back there over the Mountain West. Pretty much by the end of our Tuesday, we'll see that little clipper pretty much depart, and I'm just calling it a clipper because it is making that overall trek, though they came in from the Pacific, didn't come on down from Canada like a normal clipper system would. Maybe some very light snowfall, maybe some light ice moving over the north-central United States, but this system will not even produce, I don't think, as much precip as this previous clipper did, and that's saying something because that one didn't produce much either. Where it will begin producing a lot of precip is over the northeast, and I say a lot, it's going to produce it the most here, and the reason it could seem like a lot is because it's going to make for some treacherous travel there into portions of central New York on over into Vermont, with an attached front all the way on down as well, but it's that icy area there in the northeast there that I would be worried about, and a better chance for some continual snow with this system into portions of Maine, especially as the NAM model paints this out. And then look at that, another system you can see moving into the Pacific Northwest, but also some precipitation, maybe even some snowfall there into portions of Texas, with the snowfall chance being really in the panhandle as that system gets going Thursday night into Friday. The chance of at least 1/10 of an inch of ice accretion through this system is pretty high for you there in northeastern New York, but other than that, surrounding areas may be a medium chance. Overall, prepare for a quick trace, which is enough to cause some ice on the roadways. By the way, I cover short-term, long-range, severe weather, tropical weather, winter weather, everything you can think of across the United States and tropics, so go ahead and subscribe for the latest updates. Now, I'm tracking the southern end of the cold front for us here, so this is from that same clipper system, quote-unquote. This is as we go towards our Thursday night into our Friday. This is the European model. You can see really that energy lingering around in the Arklatex region, and the drought is at the highest it can be in some of these areas, so this is definitely beneficial rainfall in this region. Anything over the southeast, really, as there's drought going on right now. Thankfully, El Nino should help to bring more precipitation throughout the winter to this region. You can see overall that front really degrading, so it's not really going to get itself together for long as we go into the weekend. The European model showing a little bit of, a re-spark of some of that energy as that boundary still lingers as we head towards the back half of this weekend. And then eventually, what's really steering everything around here and kind of keeping the patterns going is this high-pressure system that's going to be settling on in over the Great Lakes, bringing a southerly flow now into portions of the Great Plains and the North Central. That's going to bring a big warm-up, and we'll talk about that just in a minute. But you can see kind of how the flow just kind of keeps that system there lingering around over the southeast. Eventually here we might see that system try to move with the southerly flow to the northeast. The GFS does not have this here, but overall that lingering boundary could make a mess, a little bit of one over the southeast, even beyond this weekend. But again, we need the rain. A solid 1 to 3 inches of rain in many areas from the northwest into the Mountain West, and then also the rain equivalent of 1 to 3 inches there into the Arklatex. You can see some of those purplish areas. That's where you would really expect the 2 to 4. Most areas here in the blues at least picking up an inch or so, which is quite nice. Again, we need the rain there in the southeast and the mid-south, about an inch, by the way, in that blue, as I just mentioned. Now, for your November 12th through your November 16th, this is your Climate Prediction Center temperature outlook. A big dome looking to build over the north central. You can see some pockets in the far southern United States there in South Texas, the far northeastern United States, and the far northwestern United States being the only spots that are cooler, but the big red color over the north central. And then with your precipitation outlook for that same time, very El Nino-ish precipitation outlook with drier conditions over the north, but although the northeast might be a little bit more uncommon, so again, behind that front, kind of moving, seeing some of that cooler, drier air moving on in. And then over the southern tier, especially into portions of the Gulf Coast as well as along the West Coast. That's where it's looking to be the wettest at that point. So let's track that heat. Here's your temperature anomaly tracking. You can see about 10 to 20 degrees above average as we start the week here over most of the country, and that continues moving eastward as we go towards our Tuesday, November 7th. So just, you might be watching this on the Tuesday or even after that, but I cover longer range forecasts, and that's what I do with all these model runs, so you can still catch the information for us here. And you can see 20, 30 degrees even above average in some of these areas in the Ohio Valley as we head towards your early Thursday morning. The only areas cooler than average over the Northeast and along the West Coast. But again, you can just see how extensive that warmer air mass is over the Southeast. Now, this is not that dome that I've been talking about. Remember, that's going to begin moving in as we head towards the end of this weekend. This was really ahead of that weak frontal boundary that I've been talking about, and you can see really we just get a reset of near average temperatures. Nothing too deep blue, nothing too deep red on your Saturday this weekend, but look at how as we go Sunday into Monday, and especially into towards our Tuesday, this is your November 14th. This is when, towards our November 15th, this is when you begin to see temperatures 10, 20, up to 25 degrees above average over the northern United States, and that is really going to begin to blossom into an even bigger heat dome as it pushes eastward as it looks right now. Notice some cooler air banking up against it along the west coast, and that could be enough to bring a trough into the west coast that could spark a cross-country fall system. I don't want to say anything too early, but maybe something to a little bit prelude for you there. But certainly 20 degrees above average for pretty much the eastern half of the country, it looks like, as we head towards pretty much smack dab in the middle of November. By the way, the temperature outlook is very similar to what we had for the 6 to 10 day outlook on this day, November 6, 2015, as a strong El Nino event developed. Again, you can see warmer than average conditions over the north central, especially moving eastward. This is very honestly creepy how similar that is, and it was a very warm winter for especially parts of the northern United States in 2015. So maybe if that is this some sort of signal to say that's going to be very similar, maybe because it was a strong El Nino back then. But here's a very quick tropical update for us here. We've got a little bit of precipitation kind of lingering around off the northern coast of South America. If there's any area to watch as we head towards mid-November, it's this area here in the Western Caribbean. I'm not personally too worried about it for any sort of significant tropical development, or definitely not a threat to the United States, as we'll have enough fronts coming off to kind of push it away. But for those of you there in the Caribbean, into places like Jamaica, into portions of Cuba, into Hispaniola, all of these areas. If you live in the Caribbean islands, be prepared. The GFS has been going crazy with random things. Honestly, I'm just going to call them things because, honestly, the GFS has had a mind of its own with this. Just monitor the forecast. The Euro has never been on board, but keep a watch for a potential tropical storm as we head towards mid-month. Again, as I mentioned earlier, short-term, long-range, severe weather, tropical weather, and winter weather, that's what I cover right here on ONW. This is the end of this video, but thank you so much for watching. Here are the credits, and please subscribe.